she was describing a patient to me that was on Taxone. She has good quality of life because she could ride her horse. And I'm like, to me, that's not good quality of life. Good quality of life is walking in your door every day, being able to function, being able to sleep at night, and, you know, once that girl got off the horse, that's, you know, she's still scared to death, and you guys are the only ones who can help. You know, I mean, you might not be able to cure, like I said, but you can help mentally. There are, you know, things we notice as a patient. Never give statistics. I have a friend named Jenny, who Dr. Lamar treats, and she was given a 38% chance. We were both going to have to go to bone marrow transplants. It was ironic at the same time. We've known each other for years. And I had an 80% cure rate. She had a 38% cure rate. And she said, no, I'm not going to do it. It's only 38%. Well, you know, I said, okay, you're going to, she didn't like her doctor. Well, she probably didn't like her doctor because she doesn't like her cancer. So don't take it personal if somebody says they don't like you, because they're really annoyed with their cancer, you know, and you're the easiest one to blame. But she, you know, I said, okay, get out of bed, you're going to go see Paul. And she came home that night, and he spent, she said, about 2 hours, a long time with her. And she said, I'm going to be okay, just because of his attitude that he imparted on her. And guess what happened? I get the recurrence with my 80% cure rate, and she's fine. She had a bone met, and that went away. So never give statistics, because they're just statistics, and you can scare a patient. When you talk about lymph nodes, you won't believe, at breast cancer support groups, we all sit around and talk about our lymph nodes. Like, I have, well, at first I had none, now I have 7, you know, so all of a sudden now I'm in the bad group. I have to move across the room, you know, and hang out with those people that have a lot of lymph nodes, you know, which is ridiculous. People die with 1 lymph node, people die with no lymph nodes. I have a friend who has 45 lymph nodes and is fine 4 years later. So be very careful. You have to stage it, but don't do this lymph node thing where, you know, it's going to be either whether they survive or not. You know, make sure you let them know, you know, that it's important, but it's not everything. You know, how do you give hope to somebody? You know, I personally surround myself with survivors. All my friends are, I've got a friend who had bone met from breast cancer 10 years ago to her hip, and she's fine. In fact, she's a radiologist, and I called her when I was having a tough time, like in September, and I said, how did you feel when you thought you were going to die? Because I had to deal with that. She said, I never was going to die. She said, what makes you think I was going to die? And so she has this attitude. She's pretty feisty, but, and I have another friend who had a bone met and a lung met, and he's doing fine right now. I have another friend who had 21 lymph nodes 10 years ago. So, I mean, I hang out, this is my circle of friends because we are tough, and we need to help each other. And you need to help your patients find people like that, you know, just to see somebody, you know. You're going to be talking about me 10 years from now, and I'm going to get up and talk again and tell you what else I've experienced here. Have you guys, and I told you over and over again, get a bookshelf in your oncology area that you can check out. Maybe have, you know, Bernie Siegel, Remarkable Recovery. I read these books over and over and over again. And if you could have like a 3-week checkout thing, people can sit in the waiting room and get empowered. You know, that's what they need. They need to look and say, this person survived. That's how I got, you know, like if one person survived this, I can survive this, you know. And you need to do something like that. I think you guys should get together and talk about your success stories. You know, Paul always tells me about this Marty. I feel like I know her. You know, she had lung and liver cancer and it's been 7 years now. Tell stories like that to each other, because all you hear is, I mean, this has to be depressing to come in here all the time and hear about all these really bad things. And you should get together and say, you know, tell your patients about Marty and everybody, you know, everybody's got to have some success stories. You know, that helps a patient too. And you can say, okay, well, you know, Paul had this person, Dr. Fox had this person. That's what I want to hear when I walk into your office, not 100 people died that had your same type of cancer. I don't want to hear that. Another thing is right now, everybody's into vitamin supplements. I mean, I get something just went to Canada because I thought, well, I better check this out. I saw a naturopath, and it was a little hokey, but the whole point is you're kind of destroying the immune system every time you give some kind of treatment. And if nothing else, the patient can feel like every time I put a vitamin in my mouth, I feel like, okay, I'm doing something for myself. And my white blood count went down from 4.6 to 5.7 in 1 month, and it hasn't been up to 5.7, has it? So who knows? I mean, maybe it did help me. But you guys got to work on that, the nutrition aspect, because other hospitals are, and we want this to be the best, right? Get them involved in support groups. I visit support groups because I'd have to run them, so I don't join those. So I let other people run. Other helpful hands are like Paul writes letters to people after a checkup. Well, I was talking with my friend Ginny, and she said, "Do you save those letters?" Because we were talking last week. I said, "What do you like what people do?" And she said, "I save those letters." And she said, "I have a folder." And she said, "When I'm having a really bad day, I open that up and see how resilient I am, and how great I am, and how proud he is of me." And I go, "I've kept those letters too. You know, I don't get any more because I see them on a weekly basis now. But when I go back to checkup someday, then I want my letters again because there's not many in there anymore." Phone calls. I had Dr. Taylor at St. Luke's as a bone marrow specialist, and in October he called me just to see how I was doing, and I'm like, I didn't leave a message. It blew me away that he took 5 minutes to just call me, and he wanted to check. I had my other mastectomy, and he wanted to see how, could I lift my arm, could I, it was about 4 weeks after, and can I drive yet and everything. I said, well, I just got back from the Bahamas, but yeah, I'm doing pretty good, and I haven't got a phone call since because I think he probably figured I didn't need those phone calls, but it makes a big difference. 5 minutes of your time. Gown issues. I know in medical school you're taught, talk to the patient, leave the room, put the gown on, and nobody does that. I need to be a person when I'm talking to you. At Paul's, everybody's different. At Paul's, I don't even wear a gown because I need to be Joan. When I'm talking to him and telling him things, I need to be Joan. And then fine, then I want to be the patient. Then I don't want to be there. Then you can put a gown on me. I just should not be there being examined. Where's Waukesha? I say, Dr. Fox, you're going to get the brunt of this. What are those paper gowns you put on us? Someday I'm going to walk in with my bib clips and my dental bibs and put it on and just stand there. And I bet you guys won't even know the difference. Get rid of them. Get real gowns. Would you put your mother in one of those gowns? No. Yes? Anyway, next surgery, take the money from me and buy gowns, okay? Don't take control away from a patient. I mean, cancer takes away all control from people. And for example, I was in the bone marrow unit, and I was very sick, and my white blood count was 0.1, and I was just very sick. And they used to weigh us in the middle of the night at 3 o'clock, and I'm like, why? I would get up and get weighed and get back in this cold bed and shiver the rest of the night. And finally, I just said, this is stupid. Why am I getting up and getting weighed? And I said to the nurse, I'm not getting up. And she said, you have to. And I go, I don't have to do anything. And she goes, I'm going to tell Dr. Taylor on you. And I go, fine. That's where my daughter gets it, fine. And so the next morning, Dr. Taylor comes in and he's laughing. And he said, I heard you're causing trouble here. He goes, you must be getting better. And I said, if I'm down 1 pound, are they going to page you and you're going to go to Burger King and get me a cheeseburger and french fries so that I gain a pound? This is stupid. They're not going to page you. And he goes, I didn't even know you're getting weighed. And I said, well, take it off my chart, and I don't want anybody else getting weighed in the middle of the night because they drag these scales down. And he said, okay. And then the rest of the time, nobody got weighed, And it was, so there are a lot of dumb rules that, look at the important ones, but don't. And I don't see that at Waukesha here. I can't even tell you the dumb rule we have here. St. Luke's is a lot of dumb rules. If you run behind, which every doctor does, and everybody expects a doctor to, but if you find it a routine basis, patients have lives too. I've got 3 little kids. Every time I give a sitter, costs me, or I'm using up all my favors, and then I've got to watch their kids all afternoon for it. And when you're sick, you don't want to sit there intimidating the doctor because when they walk in, they don't say anything. Just tell them you're sorry. You know, as a dentist, if I'm running behind, I go out and I say, this is a really busy day. I had to put in a lot of emergencies. I'm sorry, but I will get to you as soon as I can. I'll give you all my attention. But most, it's so routine for most doctors that they don't even see it. I don't say it means a lot because there's a lot of things I liked about it too, but routinely they run 3 hours behind for the bone marrow patients. Well, you get out of the hospital, I can barely make it to my car. To sit there for 3 hours is ridiculous. So, and then, my doctor would come in and not say anything. It's like, just say 3 hours, and then I don't even want to talk to him. And so, of course, then I learned the second time that you come 2.5 hours late, and then I was fine. But all the other patients never learned that, but if you're going to run late, either you shouldn't be double booking. I mean, I'll have a schedule of 8 patients on a day I'm going to work. All of a sudden there's 14. So I know how it happens. I'm not saying it, you don't end up with emergencies. And I'm running from room to room hoping nobody will talk to me because I don't have time to talk to them. And at the end of the day, I'm burnt out, and was I a great dentist? No, I was not a great dentist. The filling's fine, but I was not a great dentist. And it doesn't make me feel good, and so try to watch your booking. Never stand with the hand on the door, folder in hand, and say, do you have any questions? And because the patient just goes, no, because they know you're in a hurry. Dr. Schmidt is great at this. He'll kind of do that, and then I'll ask a question, and he will come right over and sit down and look me in the eye and say, what is your question? And to me, he's given me his attention, and I know he's busy. I could tell. Hand on the doorknob is a clue. But I know he's busy, but I need to say what I need to say. And he's very good about that. Test results. Well, everybody here knows how bad I am at getting tests. I mean, I won't even have tests anymore because I don't want to know. I don't want to wake up in the morning and think I'm doing okay, and then all of a sudden I have a lung met. Then I'm dying. I don't want to know that. Who wants to know that? If you can't do anything to cure me, I don't want to know that. But sometimes I have to. Like when I had surgery with Dr. Fox last week, he had to know, where does this end? The node. And so, of course, after being a baby about it, I finally got my test results. And then I had the CT scan girl had to come, and I go, okay, now, what does the radiologist's face look like? Is he kind of in bad mood? I mean, I drove her nuts, but I was going nuts. I mean, scary to have tests. It seems so routine, and as you say, okay, you get this test and this test, think about what the patient must feel like, And then they go, okay, you'll get the test results in 3 days. And you're like, there goes 3 days of no sleeping and no, it's awful. So the faster you can get test results, the better. How to tell a patient if a patient asks you how much time do I have? I did that to Dr. Taylor in August. Now, after I said it, I wanted to say, wait a minute, I don't really want to know that answer, as it came out. So you have to really think, if somebody asks you that, don't automatically assume they really want to know. I wanted to hear, I could be okay. That's what I really wanted to hear. And after I said, I thought that this was really dumb. And he had a great answer. He said, you have at least 6 months. He said, but I don't think you have 60 years. And I thought, I can live with that. 59 years, that'd be fine. On top of 38, that'll work. He gave me this open-ended time frame because he doesn't know. He can't. How could he possibly tell me? He can look at all his patients and say, well, statistically, you could fit in here, you could die in a year, But he didn't because he doesn't know. And why would he want to make me feel bad? So somebody asks you that, give him that answer, And Paul always tells me, after I ask him 20 million times, he'll go, you have Joan Casey breast cancer, And that's true. He doesn't. You don't know, right? 10, 20 years probably, but beyond that, you don't know. And now, with breast cancer, there's obviously issues, femininity issues. After you have a mastectomy. I mean, it's an awful thing to go through. I mean, it's. I sat down and thought, every time I do a front bridge on somebody, and they have to show me their prep, Now for me, I see that all the time. That's not a big deal. But they're sitting there. I mean, they have the hand of their mouth. I mean, that's new for them. And so every time a patient comes in after just having a mastectomy, it's awkward, especially for the surgeons and everybody else involved. And Dave Schmidt wins the award in this one. I came in and had a second mastectomy, and you're sitting there. I mean, I don't mind if I'm out. You know, when I'm in surgery, he can see whatever, you know. But when I'm facing him going, I have to show you again, it's real awkward. And I said to him, you know, well, I guess I won't be posing for Playboy. And he goes, well, was that ever your ambition? And I said, no. And he goes, well, then I don't see it as a problem. You know, and I laughed. I mean, it was great. It broke that awkward feeling, and now I don't care what he sees, you know. But it was a great comeback. And sometimes, rather than being real quiet, you just sometimes have to joke about it or say something, you know. The silence is worse. I had a doctor once. He said, you know, I was feeling kind of bad about the whole situation, and he said, you're not about breasts, you know, and there's so much more to you than that. And that's a great line too. Everybody likes to hear that there's more to you than breasts, you know. And if 4 years ago, if you would have said to me, who is Joan Casey? How would you describe yourself? You know, I would say I'm cute and I'm smart, because that's how I always identified myself. And now, what would I say to you guys? That would be like way down here, because I haven't been cute. Now I'm cute, and I'm that arrogant, but I haven't been cute. You know, I lost my hair, 3 times? You know, I had to really draw deeper and see, who is this Joan Casey, you know? And now I would say I'm a very strong person, I'm resilient, compassionate, I have this great sense of humor that I've had to draw on. The cute and smart is way down here. I'm this whole different person, and if you could teach patients, you're going to learn a lot about yourself. Not maybe the day they're diagnosed.